Hey guys, MonadoBoy16 here. Welcome to VintageTech, the show where I talk about old technology that are popular or unpopular, recognizable or obscure. Now, before I start, I'm gonna say this will be a two-part episode, so part 2 will come later this week, as seen on the community post about the schedule. Anyway, for this episode, we will be talking about the best-selling handheld console of all time, the Nintendo DS. Much like the Game Boy Advance, this was a childhood favorite system of mine. I remember getting the original model with Big Brain Canopy. In fact, this color I'm holding right now, electric blue, it's one I had as a kid. My sister got silver DS with Nintendogs. Anyway, let's get started with this system.
Codenamed Nitro, the Nintendo DS was released in 2004. It began development in mid-2002 when the late Hiroshi Yamauchi conceived the dual-screen system. You know what also happened in 2002? Satoru Iwata became president. On November 13th, 2003, Nintendo announced that their next system will be released in the following year. Nintendo stated that it would not succeed the GameCube or the Game Boy Advance. You better check out those videos, by the way. Free plug. Following the lukewarm reception of the former, Yamauchi stressed that if the DS succeeds, we will rise to heaven. But if it fails, we will sink into hell. Thankfully, they did not sink into hell! At least not their legal team. As the DS became the second best-selling console of all time, as of this video's posting, behind the PS2. It's also the best-selling handheld console of all time, thanks to its unique and innovative design.
Well, that was a brief introduction. Now, can you guess what DS stands for? If you guess dual screen, you may be right. But that's not the only official abbreviation for DS. It also stands for Developer System, because Nintendo believed it gives creators more innovative ways to make games. The DS also had a weird advertising campaign called touching is good. Here is an example of one of those ads. As you can see, there is a girl with horns and a devil's tail holding a DS. Nintendo did some weird advertising back in the day. Especially in Japan. I'm looking at you, Japanese commercial for the first Mario vs. Donkey Kong with all those female toads that aren't toadettes. But hey, I take them any day over misleading mobile game ads. System. Anyway, let's talk about the system itself.
As for design architecture, the DS weighs around 275 grams or 9.7 ounces, just almost a pound. Its dimensions are 5.85 inches in width, 3.33 inches in height, and 1.14 inches in depth. And that's when it's closed. The DS uses two TFT LCD displays with a resolution of 256 by 192 pixels for each screen. The DS is powered by two ARM processors. An ARM 94E-S running at 67 MHz, and an ARM 7 TDMI co-processor running at 33 MHz. The DS has 4 MB of PS RAM and 256 KB serial flash storage for saving system settings. Okay, now let's talk about the buttons and the other things it has. On the bottom left, we have a D-pad for movement in games or other features, and a power button to turn the system on or off. On the bottom right, we have the usual A, B, start, and select buttons, but there are two more buttons added in, the X and Y buttons, making this the first Nintendo handheld to have those buttons, as the GBA lacked them and previous Game Boy systems. We also have a resistive touchscreen. More on that later. On the top, we have the top screen that cannot be touched, as well as two speakers for stereo audio without any headphones required. Yeah, for those who don't know, the Game Boy Advance was capable of stereo, but you need headphones. But for the case USB, you need this little adapter. That means you cannot charge or listen to stereo audio at the same time. Wait. Did this give the idea for future Apple employees? Okay, let's not talk about it. Oh yeah, I forgot about the mic on the bottom screen. The mic is useful for some games, like blowing to it or talking to it. On the back, we have user device and FCC regulations. Also in the back is card slot for inserting the DS games. The charging port, which thankfully uses the same design as the one in the Game Boy Advance SP, making those easy to find, as well as the left and right shoulder buttons. And of course, the real star of the show, other than its two screens, is the Stylus. This gray plastic This gray plastic pen is what makes the DS so special and popular. Many games often take advantage of Stylus, such as recreating the analog controls of the original Super Mario 64 in its DS remake. Maybe not. But in Mario Party DS, so many games use the Stylus, such as slicing cucumbers very rapidly in Cucumber Jacks. I hope Larry Cucumber does not kill me. Spinning the cherry very hard to make them fly in cherry ground, and rounding up those Goombas in Goomba Wrangler. However, some games often require the Stylus to be used, such as in Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis, where you guide the Mini Marios by swiping the Stylus, and you also place blocks for them to cross safely. The Pokemon Ranger games, where you use the Stylus to capture wild Pokemon and use their field abilities to solve puzzles. Nintendogs, where you can use Stylus to play with your Nintendogs, as the title suggests. And finally, Kirby Canvas Curse, where you draw a rainbow line to guide Kirby throughout the levels. Kirby Canvas Curse is also the first game to require the Stylus, as it not only controls the game, but also the main menus. Anyway, let's talk about the rest of the architecture of the system. On the BOM, we also have a volume control for adjusting the volume. Then we have another slot with GA backwards compatibility, or for accessories that some games can also use. More on that later. And then we have a headphone jack, and a mysterious extension port. That port is used for an official Nintendo DS gaming headset, so that gamers can talk to each other while playing online via a Nintendo Wi-Fi connection. At least until the servers were shut down in 2014. Okay, let's turn the system on and see what it can do. That jingle brings back memories, doesn't it? Anyway, to get to the DS menu, tap the BOM screen or press any button. From here, you can start the currently inserted game when the system was turned on, unless it's set to auto mode. More on that later. Notice that I said when the system was turned on, because if you want to change games, you have to turn the system off, eject the game you're currently playing, insert another game, and turn it back on. That is so messed up in my opinion! Anyway, you can also start a GBA game that is also inserted by tapping on the BOM rectangle below the PictoChat download play. We'll talk about them later. When you're playing GBA games, however, one of the two screens will be used, depending on your system settings. We'll return to them later. Then, we also have PictoChat, which is, surprise, surprise, a chat application used to communicate with other people who use that app. You can send messages typed or by using doodles. Nintendo later did that topic with Swap Duel for the 3DS, which is why they removed PictoChat from that system. Then there is DS Download Play for single card multiplayer. Okay, here's how it works. When a game is compatible with DS Download Play, the host system will need to create a session first. Then, the receiving systems need to download the game information from the host system. Once the data is downloaded on the receiving systems, then it's time for some good old multiplayer in a rather limited way. You can also use Download Play to receive demos of full games, such as in Mario vs. Donkey Kong 2 March of the Minis. Many great games come with free demos these days, but back then this was advanced with having to go to a kiosk to try out a game. Hey guys, future MonadoBoy here. One thing I actually forgot to mention is that there are DS download stations that let you download demos via Download Play. These are placed usually in airports, kiosks, and gaming stores. For more information, I recommend check out these videos by Nintendo. I recommend those as I've been re-watching them prior to making this video. Anyway, back onto the Smash scene, shall we? Oh, and some games also support multi-card play. For that to work, you need 2 Nintendo DS's and 2 copies of the same game. Multiplayer on the DS controller up to 16 players for either multi-card or DS Download Play. Think of it like using 16 Xbox consoles to play Halo Combat Evolved Deathmatch multiplayer. Oh, sorry, Slayer multiplayer. But with no wires to worry about. Anyway, that's enough of the multiplayer shit. Let's talk about the rest of the system. On the bottom left of the touchscreen on the DS menu, you can turn the backlight on or off, but only on this original DS model. On the bottom right, you can turn the alarm on or off. I honestly forgot that feature even existed. And then, saving the best for last, the system settings. Oh, this is gonna be interesting. The settings will let you adjust information along with other settings. First things first, the options menu. It will let you set the system to manual or auto mode. Okay, we gotta talk about it. Auto mode will let the game start up as soon as you get past the startup screen. It'll start up either a DS game or a GBA game, depending on what is the only media inserted. However, if you insert a DS game or a GBA cartridge at the same time, then only the DS game will start first. In addition, you can also change the language of the system or set which screen will the GBA games play on. The day and time will let you guessed it, change the time and date of the system. The time and date will be on the top screen in the DS menu. Oh! I forgot to mention that! On the DS menu, the top screen will show your username, current time and date, the time for the alarm, battery information, what screen GBA games will play on, and what start mode the system is set to. You can change your name in the user settings, along with the color for the background, and setting up your birthday. Also, unscripted here, but if you turn on your DS on your birthday, it plays a different jingle.
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, is you can enter your own personal message. That's really neat. As in, let me just do this. Now this then applies to PictoChat, just in case you're wondering.
Finally, you can adjust the calibration of the touchscreen. Oh yeah, one more thing. When you close the DS while it's on, the system enters sleep mode to save power and reduce battery consumption. Some games might have messages if you turn on power. Perhaps the funniest one are the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games. I mean, take a listen.
Hey, come back here, you big monkey! Okie dokie! Hey, come back here, you! Let's play again! Hey, come back here, you! Here we go again! This game. What's up?
Well, that was fun. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention are the power indicators. You see, there are two power indicators on the bottom screen. One's indicating for power, and one's indicating for charging. The charging is self-explanatory. If you plug the DS charger or Game Boy Advance SP charger into this slot, one of the lights will glow orange, signifying that the battery is charging. If the battery is completely charged, the orange light will turn off. And anyway, the power indicator. If the battery is low, the power indicator will turn from green to red, which is a sign that you might need to charge it. Now the power indicator also doubles as wireless indicator. If you're playing a game that supports multi-card play or single card download play, the power indicator will flash. Please do not use this on an airplane, as could really mess up the system. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention is this loop for a lanyard. This will let you put a lanyard like this one that can also double as stylus for your pen. Even though this really defeats the whole purpose of this gray stick. While the DS received praise for its developer-friendly nature, it's not the first handheld system to have a touchscreen. That distinction belongs to the Tiger Gamecom, released in 1997. A horrible, clunky, portable device that has interface for its blurry screen and shitty ports of console games, especially in the Mortal Kombat one without Scorpion Sub-Zero. Man, get over here, Gamecom. Beat me to it. The only good game for that system was Lights Out, a puzzle game to take advantage of the stylus, which makes it the first handheld game system to have one. It was bundled alongside Batman Robin, the original model. We know, based off that horrible movie. But despite its flaws, the Gamecom was the first system to have internet connectivity, as the first model has a built-in modem to connect to the internet. The Gamecom was designed for more adults, than kids due to that system's PDA features. You know, in the days before the smartphone, the DS was not the first time Nintendo tried a dual screen setup. That actually dates back to the Game Watch days with the multi-screen series. The folding screens were inspired by makeup compacts. The first multi-screen release was Oil Panic in 1981, followed by Donkey Kong in 1982, which was also very important as it's the first appearance of the D-pad. That's right! You can trace modern gaming and Nintendo DS all the way back to the Game & Watch. As a very successful Nintendo system, the DS got 3 revisions throughout the years. So for this 2-part episode, we will be covering those revisions, starting with the lighter, no pun intended, and better model.
Released almost 2 years after the original DS due to overwhelming demand, the DS Lite is the favorite and most popular model of the DS family. Internally, other than the adjustable brightness feature and a slightly longer battery life, it's the same as a regular DS. But externally, no. It's slightly smaller than the regular DS, at 5.2 inches in width, 2.91 inches in height, and 0.85 inches in depth. The screen still uses the same 256 by 192 pixels in a 4:3 aspect ratio. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that on the original model. But the screens are slightly bigger to compensate for the Lite's smaller size. Anyway, now let's talk about button placement. The DS Lite has the same ABXY and D-pad. But the start and select buttons are now moved from the above 4 face buttons to below, and they are now circular, making them easier for your right thumb to press. The microphone is now moved to the hinge of the system, and the power switch and stylus are moved to the right side of the bottom screen. The former is now a power slider, and the latter is slightly larger than the original gray stick. This means that they cannot fit into each other's stylus holders, although they can still be used with each other, and by that I mean on the touch screen. On the bottom, there is still the same volume slider, the GBH cartridge slot, which is protected by this little dust cover for convenience, and the same headphone jack and headset port. Then there is a game card port, but the AC adapter port is different and is not compatible with the GBA-SP charger or the later DSi charger. Okay, let's talk about that. The DS Lite is the only model in the DS family, not 3DS, to use a proprietary charging port. This means that if you lost the AC adapter, you'll have to find a replacement. That is the revision's biggest issue. So if you're finding a used DS Lite, make sure it comes with the AC adapter. If not, you may have to find one separately. Anyway, now that I'm talking about the Lite's biggest hurdle, I need to talk about its biggest improvement. It now has adjustable brightness. This can be done from DS by tapping on the same sun icon.
Well, that was simple. Okay, but I need to talk about the DS Lite's dust cover for a sec. It has this strange looking notch. I'm not sure what this notch is used, but I have a theory. It's so that you cannot put it in a GBA, Game Boy Micro, or original DS's GBA slot. And this does not work GBA accessories. If you know this, it's already sure enough, there's a notches there for a reason. That would be hard to get out. But I should talk about some unique things. Sorry. Look, instead of Nintendo logo on there, it has 2 squares so you can find the DS's logo. Yeah, this one is really iconic for us gamers. The DSi Lite is very iconic, and the best way to play regular DS games. It's also the last system to have backwards compatibility with GBA games. You know, GBA's games will still go in the slot, as well as the option packs, which we'll talk about later. Now, one thing I should point out is that some DS games will be enhanced with some GBA games in. Like in, for example, the Pokemon Diamond Pro games. If you insert, the mainline Pokemon games indicated by the colorful cartridges, yeah, they should bring those back with the Switch. But, to be fair, since the Switch has a hidden compartment for those games, it's redundant. You'll find extra Pokemon, but this will only work on the DS and DS Lite. And another example would be Kirby Canvas Curse, where if you want to unlock Waddle, you need a copy of Kirby and Amazing Mirror. The actual game card, if you 100% the game. If you don't have 100% Kirby Zero, you can unlock him normally, but this requires being the game as every single character. Anyway, in our words, the DS Lite is definitely the definitive way edition and easy to find. But if you want something personalized and individual, this is the DS for you.
The DSi was released in April 2009 in North America, followed by the DSi XL in March of the following year. The I in DSi stands for individual. As you can tell, the DSi has more personality and creativity than Nintendo's home consoles, even the Switch! According to Iwata, families often share DS and DS Lite consoles, so Nintendo added personalization features to the DSi to encourage kids and adults to buy separate DS handhelds. As for technical specifications, the DSi has 16 megabytes of RAM, 4 times more than the original DS, a faster CPU at 166 MHz because the ARM9 in the system runs twice as fast at 133 MHz. The screen resolution is the same 256 by 192 pixels, but using 3.25-inch TFT LCD screens. As for storage, the DSi has 256 megabytes of internal flash storage for taking photos and recording audio. More on them later. But, for the first time in Nintendo handheld history, there is an SD card slot. There, you can place a standard secure digital card up to 2 GB, or an SDHC card up to 32 GB. The DSi has a shorter battery life than the Lite, which is a problem if you're on a road trip. Also, there's no GBA game compatibility due to the DSi being too thin. And also, games that are compatible with specific accessories that use the GBA slot are also not compatible. Anyway, let's open the system up.
Okay.
There are the same ABXY buttons, D-pad, and start and select buttons. But thank goodness a power switch returns to a button instead of a slider unlike the Lite. The power button also has one major improvement. More on that later. The volume control is moved to the left side instead of the bottom, and it's now digital controls instead of being slider. Much like how you see on smartphones these days. On the top, we have the same L and R buttons, but they have a camera symbol concaved in to them. We'll go back to them sooner or later. Then we have the same cartridge port for inserting your favorite games. And finally, the DSi uses a different charging port. This is another huge improvement, as it's the same one used on 3DS, making them not too hard to find. Alright, let's turn the system on and see what has changed. Ooh, take me back to 2009. Anyway, once you get past the startup screen, you'll see the new and improved menu. Yep, the DS menu got a complete overhaul for the DSi. You can rearrange the tiles, you can see a photo on the top screen, or layer, and best of all, you can return to the DSi menu at any time. Remember that power button? Yeah, that also doubles as the home button. If you press it once, the system will do a soft reset, return to the DSi menu. That way, you can pick another application, or switch to another DS game. Yeah, that's right! There was another thing I should point out. On the DSi, you can now change game cards while in the menu, instead of having to power the system off. Most people never knew about this, due to them reading the operations menu, as it states that only switch games when the power is off. That is not true, by the way. These quality of life improvements make the DSi the definitive way to play DS games. Well, almost.
Of course, the real star of DSi are the two facing are the cameras, one in the front and one in the system. I took photos during the production of this two-part episode. Here is a section that tested the DSi camera, which includes the test of the sound as well.
To demonstrate the camera, I'm going to be putting Mud, Hippo, and Pirate on my bed.
Alright. You remember those little camera things the LR buttons do? Well, you can use them to take photos. And look at this. I accidentally took a photo of the shirt I'm wearing. Alright, let's take a camera. Alright, let's go take a photo. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Now look at that. And you can actually see the photo on the top screen, which I got in a minute. Anyway, for more features, let's check out the DSi Camera. Oh, tutorial. Let's do it off camera. Okay, got the tutorial done, and I did mention the SD card. Now on top, you can show the calendar what photos you took. SD card. Which, in fact, this video, those slideshows you'll see later on will be captured on the SD card. Anyway, let's take a photo. Oh, look, it's a normal lens. Hello! Hello, people! I'm sorry, I gotta do this. I'm sorry, I just can't resist. Anyway, let's try different lenses it has. Normal. Distortion. Graffiti? Wow, that's fun. Color? Wow! Kirby Ramacurse, anyone? Color pad? Color pad. Oh, I gotta try this. Yeah. Anyway, here's a slideshow of photos that I will be captured.
First is a normal lens. Here are the pictures taken with a normal lens. First is Mud, Hippo, and Pirate, which are one of the main mascots. By one, I meant 3 of the main mascots of my socials. And then we have Melon Pult with Gargantuar, the Baby Yoda. I forgot what his official name was. And then a Handbank from the Toy Story 3 promotion. This is my cat, Bree, looking out the window. That's my Microsoft Surface Laptop Studio, which is the same laptop I'm editing this video on right now. This is a Shulk amiibo. Seriously, I gotta get more amiibos. Alright, that's the last of the photos using a normal lens. Now it's time for the distortion lens. I took 2 photos of it. Here we have is Patrick Star. Who you calling Pinhead? Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to recreate that Pinhead scene. Look at his face! It's just so tiny! And do you have SpongeBob doing a smiling jaw drop? Okay, that's enough distortion lens. Now, for example, the graffiti. This is the word Nintendo put on a Game Boy. Actually, that's a 3DS carrying case, but more on that later. Alright, that's enough for graffiti. Here's an image taken with one of the color modes. I chose SpongeBob and Patrick as usual, along with Master Chief, who, funny enough, is already colored in. There's another one, with the same characters as the second photo I showed. That's a color. But now, there is Color Pad, which changes the hue of a certain object. Here we have our 2 mini discs, and this shows why you cannot use it on blacks or whites. Anyway, here's the mirror lens. This is Bree again, in a kaleidoscopy fashion. More like kaleidoscope. Anyway, here is another example using mirror lens, but this time squared with this Sailor Venus chibi figure. And then this example of a one-way, double-sided mirror, which is the same bed as usual. Anyway, this is an example of a mischief lens. As you can see, it tracks your face to put different objects on it, as long as you have better lighting. I had to put the sunglasses one, and I just can't resist trying to hold one of my Nerf guns. Anyway, I cannot showcase the emote or resemblance lens, so here is the frame lens. I took 3 photos with it, and by that I mean I'll be showing 3. You have sunflower point zombies in a sunflower frame. I'm sorry, I just find it fitting to use her. And then we have purple zombie in a film frame. And finally, it's me, Mr. Krabs!
Now, if you want to view your photos, you can just check the album. Yeah, you can upload them on Facebook, but what's the point? Wow. What was the rest? It uses, the cameras are VGA, by the way. And it uses 640 by 40 resolution. Hey, here's where the fun part is. The editing. I'll be using this sign. What I took. The still frames of there's distortion. Graffiti. This gave me a perfect idea. Oh boy! This will be very interesting! Sorry, I just can't resist. Sorry, I have a headache. Ebook. Mirror. These things will not work, by the way. Anyway. Well, that's about the camera. Now let's talk about the sound. Yeah, that's right. Here it is. Yeah, that's a Nintendo DSi Sound for you. Anyway, let's up it. Sound. I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. Yeah. I'm really feeling it. I'm really okay. I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. Anyway, you can play different effects. I'm really feeling it. I'm more chipmunk-like. Anyway, I'm really feeling it. You can sit with speed. I'm really feeling it. Yeah. All right. You guys, you chose like a fan. Feeling it. Parakeet. Okay, little Harmy. I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. Yep, trumpet. Hey guys, Future MonadoBoy here, and one thing I forgot to mention is that you can actually adjust. If you tap on any of the 4 squares, if you tap on them once, you get play different sounds. I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. I'm really feeling it. Harmony. That's one thing I actually forgot to mention. Anyway, back to the video. Really feeling it. Have fun. Anyway, in addition to that, to play record sound, you can also play your music off an SD card. Anyway, I've put royalty-free music on here so that the ninjas cannot take this video down. Even though they have not did the mini-disc episode. And that's only for the audio demonstration portion, not the background music. Anyway, this is Airport Lounge.
Feeling
Anyway.
it.
Here's the other ones. Yeah. And right, this one? That's me on Bavaria, otherwise known as, in my world, Rosé's theme. Anyway, if you wear a pair of headphones close to you, you can actually... Well... Anyway, that's it for the DSi menu itself. Oh yeah, one thing about changing about Pico Chat is that... is that you can now change use a rainbow text. Well, anyway, that's it. Well, that's the DSi for ya. Oh, one thing I should point out is that the camera sound will always play even if you have the volume set turned off. That's why they use the digital control 7 as usual slider. So, if you're taking photos in the dark, don't do that. Even though you are less likely to see in the dark anyway, unless you bring a flashlight. However, oh wait, I forgot to mention, these are the indicators. And unlike the original days, you guys see them. You guys see power and charging, but you now have a Wi-Fi indicator. That's right, the DSi actually has better internet connection. It uses a what is it? I think I'll let the text do itself. However, we have one more model to go. The last member of the DS family before the 3DS. The Nintendo DSi XL. Now, because the internals are the same as the regular DSi, that section of me talking about DSi XL was short. But
Anyway, let's talk about the DSi XL. It's the last member of the DS family before the 3DS. Internally, it has the same specs, but with a slightly longer battery life. Externally, the DSi XL has two larger TFT LCD screens. The system also came with two slightly larger stylus. One of them usually fits in the system, easy to find, but the other is huge! This large pen-sized stylus, called the touch stylus, is separate from the regular stylus, and it does not fit into the DSi XL stylus holder. Instead, it's more used for home rather than on the go, unless if you get a carrying case. And these stylus are very hard to find, especially the first party ones. So good luck getting your hands on them. Come to think of it, the DSi XL touch stylus looks similar to some stylus pens designed for tablets, or Bluetooth pens used for graphics tablets or 2-in-1 laptops. Oh! I forgot to mention the physical dimensions for this revision. The DSi XL is 3.6 inches in length, 6.34 inches in width, and 0.83 inches in height. For comparison, here are the dimensions of the regular DSi, which I neglected to mention.
well, that's a DSi for ya. Now, I have a confession to make. I myself never owned a DSi XL. In fact, me and my family never even owned one. I mean, my family and I used to own a regular DS, two of them to be exact, a DS Lite, and a DSi, but not a DSi XL. Oh, and wondering what DSi color I had as a kid? It's not this one. It's this one. This is the only survival model I still have. This does not work anymore, but it's still salvaged. And thankfully it did not get broken, which the other models suffered. Well, except for that right one, which belonged to my sister. I sold it to GameStop for money. But this color was not 1 to 4 standards. This is metallic blue. And this color was really one of the new colors from 2009. But what if I were to tell you that this was released as a Black Friday exclusive? It came pre-installed with 5 Mario tiles from DSiWare, and those are... Oh, I forgot to mention that! The DSi... Why? The DSi had exclusive software that you can download digitally called DSiWare. From a time until 2017, you can buy digital games from the DSi shop. And those their category and their prices are in categories. Free, 200, 500, and 800 plus. Now, 800 plus are usually games that cost 800 DSi points or more. Which, if you calculate that, it's $8 or more. Now, the only 2 free apps from the DSi shop are Flipnote Studio and DSi Web Browser. In fact, later on, they became pre-installed in later models. Of course, the DSi XL had those pre-installed already. So, were they redundant to include them? I think that's a possible explanation. Now, sorry, I forgot to mention that. There were some DSi exclusive cards. Even though there are only a total like 7 cards, 5 of those are games. 3 of them were released in America, with only 1 being also available in Japan, and 2 released in Europe. And there are 2 DSi demo cards made from DSi XL. For more information, I recommend check out this video by Nintendo, as he where he does more into it. In addition, there are also some DSi enhanced games that takes advantage of new features. The best way you can tell if it's a DSi enhanced is by looking at its tuner bomb. If it says TWI, that means a DSi enhanced game. If it says NTR, it's a regular DS game. And this is because the DSi is better internet connectivity, which also represents another problem for DSi. If you're collecting them, make sure they're the right system from the game release. Otherwise, you can't play them. That's because they are region locked. But for some reason, it only applies to DSi, as it'll work just fine on a regular DS without those enhanced features. Anyway, back to the video. Now, the Mario tiles that got pre-installed with this DSi were Mario vs. Donkey Kong Maze March Again, Wario Snapped, why the fuck did they include that? Dr. Mario Express, and 2 of those apps, Mario Clock and Mario Calculator. Of all the 5, well, I enjoy Mario Clock. The only 2 I find fun are Dr. Mario Express and Mario vs. Donkey Kong Maze March Again. Now, here's the funny thing. I actually never knew what the first game looked like. I always assumed Mario vs. Donkey Kong is just a Lemmings clone. To be fair, Mario vs. Donkey Kong is more designed for a mobile game, like the Lemmings mobile game, officially licensed by Sony, which is better than the PC game to be exact, because it's a lot more simple. Anyway, getting back into the topic. Nintendo later re-released this DSi as a standard one without the old pre-installed software. Now, the DS also came to editions, much like this originally released Metallic Blue. There's also one made for Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, and there's one made for breast cancer awareness, which is just a white DSi Lite with a, pink ribbon. Then there's one made for Zelda, which is a gold with a Triforce in it, which, I'm not sure what does the Triforce look like. Well, that Triforce, even though it's the iconic logo, its symbol's not copyrighted, as I saw it on some Delta machines, as in Delta Wooding Company, to be honest. In fact, this DSi XL you saw in this video is actually a special edition, made for the 25th anniversary of Super Mario Bros., as evident by the mushroom, flower, and star. This actually came with, I think Mario Kart DS or New Super Mario Bros. What was that game? I think it was Mario Kart DS. I think I may be wrong. Anyway, enough talk. Time to speak about the accessories. Yeah!
A majority of the DS accessories only work with the original model and the DS Lite. And by majority, I meant the ones that uses the GBA cartridge slot. So for this section of the video, I'll be using those models to demonstrate those accessories. There's things first. The Rumble Pack. which is the first ever accessory for Nintendo DS to use the GBA cartridge port. The ROM pack was bundled with Metroid Prime Pinball, but it was also sold as a standalone on the official Nintendo website back in the day. It's self-explanatory. If a game is compatible with the Rumble Pack, it will make the DS vibrate. However, only 51 games support a Rumble Pack, as shown in this Word document.
Alright, I have to do this. Let's compare this DS Option Pack, yes, that's what it's called by the way, to a legitimate Game Boy Advance cartridge. As you can see, they're about the same size, with some key differences. The triangle on here is a bit smaller. The little hinge to hold up is a bit wider. On the back, it uses the same screw. This I got this from GameStop a while back. Remember when GameStop sells retro games? Well, they still do. Anyway, before anyone asks, yes, it does fit in a real GBA, but don't expect that to work. Oh, and yes, you can put this in GBA game cartridge carriers. In fact, when I bought this Rumble Pack, which arrived on this recording, non the upload date, it came in a GBA game case by Mad Cats. So that's something you need to point out.
I already mentioned the DS headset previously, so I won't get into detail. But it was released alongside Pokemon Diamond and Pearl in America, making it useful to chat with the other person while doing online Pokemon battles. Until 2014, to be honest. The headset also doubles as another way to use the microphone in compatible games. Then there is an external Bluetooth keyboard made for Learn with Pokemon typing adventures, as the game came bundled with this accessory. Then finally, we have unique collectible stylus. Some are made to promote a specific game, others have a squishable character on top. Then finally, we have something that look like a retractable ballpoint pen.
Wow.
There are also third-party accessories, licensed third-party accessories, such as the Guitar Hero controller, used for the Guitar Hero's DS games, as well as Band Hero. They also came with a stylus in the shape of a guitar pick.
Now these accessories came in this little peripheral so that you can play it on a regular DS. All you need to do is screw these things out and put this in and do the opposite. Let's screw them out. There we go. And there. That's how you can play the guitar in a regular DS. I wonder. Yes, it does. This adapter will work for both DS models. However, it's a little inconvenient. Anyway, let's put this thing back together.
Finally, we have the PAL controller, a Japan-only accessory that was sold as a standalone or bundled with Arkanoid. Here are the 4 games that are compatible with the PAL. The aforementioned Arkanoid, Space Invaders Extreme 1 and 2, and Space Bust-A-Move. Also, a sign on here, when I say Japan only, I meant the accessory was released in that country, as the PAL will work with the international versions of those games. Oh, I forgot to mention something! There are even more accessories for the DS. Other accessories include protective cases for the systems, protective cases for the DS cards, DS carrying cases that you carry your DS and games more protectively, and even car adapters! For example, BNA, under their Power Racing subsidiary, released various officially licensed star kits that contain protective sleeves or carrying cases, game card carrying cases, and other various things. PEP made Nerf branded. Arbiter license from Hasbro to protect your system from being damaged after being dropped. Some stores also use licensed non-game properties such as SpongeBob, Ben 10, or even Star Wars. Jeez Louise, there are too many of them!
Oh my god, there's way too many of them! Oh god. Whew, better calm myself down. Well, in addition to the licensed accessories, there's also some unlicensed accessories. In fact, I actually have one of those. It's called the Action Replay, which will let you input codes to either unlock anything for cheap or give you infinite lives, infinite health. Moon jump like this. Yeah, kind of like the Game Genie, which resulted by Codemasters, which resulted in one of the infamous lawsuits. And by the way, the Codemaster of Game Genie is the same Codemasters that is now a subsidiary of Electronic Arts. Another unlicensed accessory I should mention is one of them by Hyperkin, a Hyperkin 3 game selector, which, as you might know, will let you put 3 games in this adapter and put it in the same slot. And you can switch between them. Very useful for the regular DS and DS Lite, since you can't switch games in the main menu. But for the DSi and layer DS models, and by that I mean the DSi XL, and then the 3DS family systems, it's not needed since you can switch the games at any time from the menu. But one of the most infamous unlicensed accessories would have to be the R4 card, which is a flash card. Well, normally flash cards were usually made after this, but that one was made right at the same time. But I mean, produced during when the DS was popular, which, as you know what that means, I'll let this lump of Lazy Town do the talking.
You're hard fitted indeed. Being a pirate is a rented thing. Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
That's right! Piracy! The R4 card, it resulted in the DS becoming the most pirates game library of all. And the illegal downloads somehow almost matched the official sales. This resulted in Nintendo and several other game companies to take legal action with varying degrees of success. And this also resulted in later games having anti-piracy measures, such as in some, like say, the Pokemon games. It will, like, prevent your Pokemon from gaining experience, or some might soft lock. And another example might be in a Dragon Quest game, which, was it the DS version, Dragon Quest V, I believe? Yeah, I think it's that. The ship will go on forever and ever and ever, signifying that you are a pirate! Oh, the irony. Oh, another example is the Legend of the Spirit Tracks that disables the train section, the train controls for that section, which makes you fail easily. Of course, one of the most funny ones would be the DS version of Michael Jackson Experience, where if you play an illegal copy, all the sounds will be replaced with vuvuzelas. Honestly, that's one of the funniest anti-piracy measures. Yeah. Well, Nintendo taking legal action against the R4 is cool and all. It also started the whole trend of Nintendo taking legal action on game sites, ROM sites out of games that they don't currently sell anymore, outside of Virtual Console, which is now going to be discontinued in next year. With being able to add funds, gonna be disabled later this month. Now, here are the games. Let's do the gameplay captures, but on the next part. So, stay tuned for that. See you in part 2.